Hey, still sick. Also, I shaved. I don't know. Something about being sick and having a lot of facial hair was uncomfortable. So this video, skating with Matthew again at Woodward, and we're skating the Sheckler Park. You'll see he skates the stairs and like battles some tricks down the stairs. And it just sort of made me think like what the advantages and disadvantages are of being like a transition skater versus being a street skater, and then playing with like parts of the other discipline. So like a vert skater who usually they start off skating street at first, like getting the fundamentals, and then they switch over to vert or transition in general, and they sort of follow that path. Versus street skaters, you kind of just start off with street and you stick with street. It's pretty rare that someone starts off on a mini ramp unless they grew up like right next to a skate park. So it's more common than not. Skateboarders of all discipline kind of figure out like ollies, shove-its, and probably kickflips before they start really like skating transition. Not always, but quite often. And I just want to talk a little bit about like seeing transition skaters that I'm friends with learn street stuff versus like someone like me or Zach, or obviously there's a lot of ATVs out there, tons of skaters who skate both. But yeah, I'll show you a little bit of skating, me doing some tricks, and then we'll get more into the discussion.
Were you tried frontside hurricane on the flat bar?
Yeah, I'll try it again right here.
Oh, let me clean off my dirty lens.
You got it wearing.
Yeah, it's a feeble going the wrong way. So we're back here. I got a couple more things that I wanted to do. I was just way too tired and we had to go off to a dinner. So we're gonna do a couple more grinds now over the little gap. The main thing I wanna do is I wanna do a blunt side gap back nose grind. But gotta warm up a little bit first.
You.
Like that was like 20 tries yesterday.
That was like first try today.
First try today.
Yeah.
I was really tired yesterday. I want to flip out,
Oh no.
So I think there's clear advantages to both. And I think when you break down what transition skaters do as far as the way that they go about tricks versus street skaters, it becomes very apparent what the benefits are. Now, this isn't across the board, tried and true no matter who you are. This is just based off of what I've seen and what I've learned from skating both. I don't consider myself an ATV whatsoever. Like, I've done 5-wood fakies on vert ramps. I've done a front feeble in the deep end of the combi. I've done a backsmith on an oververt clamshell, and outside of like maybe like 10 other things, there's not much transition stuff that I've done. There used to be like a concrete park. I mean, it's still there, but there's like a 9-foot vert quarter pipe made of concrete, and I have done a frontside ollie where like we're talking maybe 8 inches above coping, and I ollied from low to high. So yeah, I can skate transition, but by no means do I qualify as a transition skater. I'm not going to be able to get down, but I do know enough about it to sort of see where some of it's coming from in the board control. And what I notice with transition skating is it's more than often about commitment. You can pretty much look at a transition trick or a bowl and know where to lean, know where to put your body weight, and make it work. If you can ollie on like a mini ramp, like below coping, and you can like ollie pretty comfortably, you can frontside kick turn pretty comfortably, you can do some frontside slashes, you can do frontside airs if you just go for it. But the getting like to the level of confidence to go for stuff on transition is where it gets scary, because the margin for error, I would say, it's almost like there's way more things that can almost go wrong, because like there's the transition and the loop out factor, but a lot of the stuff is really easy to get right. So for example, a back tail on transition, you can like over rotate and slip weird or accidentally shove it and land back on your board. There's a lot of gravity pulling you in weird directions. But if you just really go for the back tail in the way that you think it's going to work, because it's probably the exact way that's going to work, you're probably going to learn it first try. I've learned so many tricks on transition, not necessarily first try, but the first time that I tried the trick. So like pussyfooting around for a little while, and then the first one I go for, I make. And then I can do that trick pretty much every try after that. So vert skaters will go about their runs warming up and just not fall. There's skaters who will go to skate parks that are transition skaters and just land everything all day. Maybe have like a barrel or two, but for the most part, they just land every trick. Whereas street skaters, it's way more tedious. You're struggling the whole way through, and you're getting a lot more methodical about like the tricks that you're doing. And I notice that when street skaters start skating transition and learning stuff, they apply that same tried and true way of learning tricks where it's like, okay, pussyfoot around, see how it works. Where's my pressure need to be? And you really are trying to figure it out. Whereas transition skaters get the benefit of knowing how to like land in transition comfortably and just turn it into a sliding board over and over. So they have like way more safety precautions for actually like committing to a trick and then just getting out of it, whether it's dropping to their knee or sliding on their back or rolling out of it or whatever. They're rarely running out of it. Street skaters are always running out of transition tricks, and it's a nightmare.
All right, now that that little battle's over with, we'll try to do blunt slide and then over the little gap to backside nose grind. It's kind of built for that trick. First thing I thought when I saw it. On the taller side for a skate park ledge, it's like a normal sitting bench height, which I like, but for blunt slides, a little scary. Get to that front truck. I almost want to do one to 50-50 first, but like I'm gonna go front truck first anyways, so I might as well go for nose grind. But now that I'm saying this out loud, I realize that I'm probably gonna half-ass a nose grind and land a 50-50. Okay. Man, that's scary, dude. I'm like legit scared of it.
Oh.
But I kind of like hesitated, so right here. Oh my God! I don't know what to
You made it work?
Great idea.
Yeah. Dang.
But I think coming from those two separate places of the way that we've learned tricks, transition skaters versus street skaters, transition skaters tend to be way better at committing to stuff. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of transition skaters are also the dudes who are 50-50ing really big rails. Like, it's like, oh, you don't really see him do, like, kickflip back tails, but, like, that guy who skates vert just 50-50, like, a double kink. Because they'll commit their body weight to where it needs to be committed right out the gate, whereas skateboarders that skate street do a lot more pussyfooting around. And with transition skating, commitment seems to be the main ingredient to every single trick, whereas street skating, working out the kinks of the technicality of the trick is like where most of the makes are. Once you have the basic board control, I'm telling you, you can like go play on a mini ramp and spend like a couple days there, and if you just commit to everything, your trick list is going to go through the roof. I've been skating with a lot of people. Sean Enoch is a good example of someone who is a street skater with a street foundation who will pussyfoot around a transition trick, and I'll be like, hey, just do this. And then the first time he does that, he just lands the trick every try afterwards because he just starts committing to it. That's a little bit of the foundation of what I want to talk about. Let's watch Matthew skate the 6 stair.
We got like 10 skaters learning how to kickflip down this set of stairs, and Matthew's about to get some. They're just all going for it. but street Matt's on the prowl. Yeah, Matt! Dude, he's flicking it like he's doing a kickflip Indy on vert, I swear. You know, when you do flip tricks on vert, it's like real floaty. You have a second to stick to your foot, and then you kind of like late flip it, like almost like a trampoline. Downstairs, it's like you gotta really snap an ollie. Yeah, Matt! He's unstoppable. Pure chaos. That just tries. What? This kid's been battling his kickflip. Oh, and I filmed the one he did. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, Matt. Matt's so excited to do this 360. Every time he tries one, he turns around and looks at me with the biggest smile on his face, like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, Matt. You! Fun to watch someone like Matthew, who's so insane at skating, try something that like it's in a realm that I understand and he's foreign to. So like watching him figure it out, even though he's like insanely gnarly. Being completely honest though, 360 flips down gaps not really one that I do. Like I'll do nollie trays and fakie trays kind of comfortably, but the regular stance tray flips not a go-to for gaps. Maybe I'll start playing with those. I'm at Woodward, maybe I'll play with them on here.
So I would say some of the advantages a street skater would have going to transition is you have a lot of board control to play with. And some street skaters do have really good ability committing. But with transition skater, that floaty feeling is pretty foreign to us. Even if you're jumping downstairs, that's a different floaty feeling than the arc that you feel on transition. There's not like a lot of gravity going up and coming down. Even if you're like a big, like if Tiago Lemos did a switch pop shove it down the stairs, yeah, he would pop high. But that arc is still a completely different feeling than going into transition and coming out of transition. And the vice versa of a transition skater coming to street will notice that gravity is a lot less forgiving on street, where you're just going straight down. There's not that arc. So I think the advantage of a transition skater coming to street, a lot easier for them to commit to certain things. But correct me if I'm wrong, if you have examples of this not being the case, but the vast majority of transition skaters that I skate with that they come and dork around in the streets, they really don't have a lot of patience with like figuring tricks out. Like they want it to work really fast. Like I'm putting my body weight in the right spot and I'm fully committing. Why isn't this working? Because there's a little bit more technical aspects. And I'm not saying that there's not tech tricks on vert or on transition. Watch any Colin McKay part and you're gonna be like, oh no, he's doing like technical ledge tricks on the lip of a vert ramp, or, you know, flip tricks where you don't grab. I mean, Jimmy Wilkins basically skates vert ramps like it's a street spot, the way he tweaks his ollies and everything like that. I'm not saying that there's not exceptions. I'm saying, generally speaking, street skating is way more technically difficult than vert skating. And I would say that by like a decent sized margin. Whereas when street skaters go to transition skating, I think it takes us way longer than it needs to for us to learn the trick. It takes way longer for us to commit to it. The floaty feeling is extremely uncomfortable unless you've like dabbled in that area for a long time, like some of these ATVs have. I think that it's super important to be able to skate both because they both kind of have advantages to the other one. Like if you have technical ability skating street, but then you're skating a lot of transition and you get used to like committing to stuff, but you skate enough street that you understand the board control of things, you're just going to automatically start getting better at both of them a lot faster. Like I think it is super important to have both to get good faster. If you have access to a mini ramp and something with vert and like a floaty hip, I think it's going to help you in the long run, just skating in general. I think you're still going to progress faster, even though you're spending time outside of like ledge skating or gap skating or whatever.
Yeah, I'm already hot. That was one try and I'm like sweating.
It's like a bakery in here. For real.
Tried. I'm proud that I tried. I was scared. I kind of want to skip this gap. It's a little out of my league, especially where I am right now. So I'm going to go to 6 and then just try to throw it down now.
He's gonna kickflip that and then probably kickflip this.
That was a really bad kickflip, so I got to do one more.
You got it. Took me so many tries for that.
I was nowhere near it, but I tried.
Oh. Yep. Oh, dude, that was it.
I tried it.
That was right there.
So I was doing chain flip down the stairs, but kid just showed up, started trying it, so I don't want to be that guy. So I'll just do a different trick. I'll do heel flip. I was just kind of like using the line as motivation to just try to stick the kickflip, but I'll just be an adult and just try the kickflip as is, right? Just try it.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest kickflip in the world? No, but it's the biggest thing I've kickflipped in a while. It's like, I don't know, oversized 5 block. It's just kind of long. I mean, you'll see it in other angles from the video, because I'm not doing that again for a different angle. But it's just a little on the longer side. I think it's only like 9 stairs tall, and then I don't know how long. So not the craziest kickflip, but it felt good. I felt like I controlled that one. Instead of just like kickflipping and hoping that I like do something, I felt like I flipped it to my feet and kind of controlled it like an ollie. So that feels like progress to me. Definitely doing the kickflips down the 6 there really helped.
So if I had to compare the two and which one has like a better advantage over the other one of like playing in the other one's domain, I guess I would say, I think off the top of my head, I think someone who is a street skater with a street skater discipline, but like goes fully into transition and like really commits to it, will probably be able to progress faster once he gets over that initial hump. Because I think it's a bigger hump from a street skater to go into vert skating and getting used to like the floating and everything like that. Like I think that learning period and like the unlearning of like the way gravity works in street skating is going to take way longer than it would for a vert skater to come to street. I think a vert skater coming to street will immediately be able to apply commitment and stuff like that and have all these advantages and start like learning a bunch of tricks fast. But I think the lack of the specific board control will sort of make the progress spike and then like slowly taper off. And I think it's the vice versa with street going to vert. I think it's going to be like a real slow progression, but once they break through that seal of getting like comfortable doing frontside ollies and the board kind of wobbling on their feet a little bit the way it does, or like getting used to like reaching down and doing a lot of grabs, it's going to be like this and then like start to go like this, and then you start to progress a lot. Whereas I think vert skaters coming to street, I think it's like they progress really fast and then it starts to taper off because they have to relearn all these fundamentals. And I think a lot of the vert fundamentals are sort of intuitive in a weird way, especially coming from street skating, but they feel so different and foreign and, in my opinion, really scary. That once you break through, or if you can break through, I think that Chris Jocelyn has a way better chance of figuring out all the disciplines of vert and like getting really good at it and like maybe even having some relevancy in it than I imagine a Jake Brown or someone coming from like vert skating and trying to switch over to street. Now there are examples of vert skaters who did street. Steve Barra, ironically, is one. I don't know if he was like street then vert then street, but he like had vert video parts and then he switched over to street. And Tony Hawk put out a street part, but I just think going in the other direction would be a little bit easier. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you're a vert skater and you have a better opinion on this than me, because like I said, I'm not the most skilled transition skater. I just dabble. But this is just based on all the transition skaters and street skaters that I've seen start to play around with the switch. And I thought it would be a fun discussion, especially since like we have a video where Matt's skating street, and in most of the videos that I put out at Woodward, it's me skating transition. So yeah, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.